Hi everyone, welcome to Papa's Workshop. I've got some really exciting news. I had contacted the Armor Tool Company about their new pocket jig, and they sent me one to be able to show you. And I've got a couple of great projects that I'm going to be using this on in the next week that I think will be fantastic, and one's a really unusual application for this pocket jig. So let's get started. Now the first thing that I want to point out is when I opened up the box and took out this jig, inside of here was all of these screws, and this is fantastic because you've got the 1-inch screws for both softwood and hardwood, and then it goes to the 1.25 inch, same thing, 2-inch, 1.5 inch, and the 2.5 inches. And the nice thing about that, these are all color coded. This is fantastic because this color coordination goes right along with what's on their jig. That is a fantastic idea, and I love it. Being able to have things color coded works great. Now then, you may be asking, what is the difference between this 1-inch for soft plywood and a 1-inch for the hardwoods? Well, what I want to do is show you the difference. Okay, when you look at these two screws up close, the threads are different. The soft wood, or the soft plywood, has a very coarse thread, and the hardwoods have a very fine thread, and that is the difference. And you're going to find that true when you look at all different types of screws, whether it's the pocket hole screws or sheetrock or drywall screws. They all have the same type of system, and this is very important for the holding power in the wood itself. So again, the very coarse thread is designed specifically for the softwoods and soft plywoods, and the coarse thread is going to be used for your hardwoods. So the first thing right off the top, I think this is fantastic that the Armor Tool Company sent all of these different screws to be able to use for many different types of projects. And I know for the projects that I've got coming up, I'm going to be using different sizes of these screws, because one, we're going to be making a desk, and two, we're going to be doing some plumbing and framing work inside of my bath. Now I want to point out too that inside of the box they do have a sample packet of screws as well, but I want to be able to thank the Armor Tool Company for sending me all of the different sizes of the different screws. Now the next thing I want to do is actually look at the jig itself, and literally you got to take a tour all the way around this jig to be able to understand all of the different features and benefits that this tool offers. It's really quite amazing. So let's take a quick tour around this amazing jig. I want to hold this jig up close so that you can see that this drill bit is mounted into its own little holder. This collar actually slides and moves as you clamp the wood into it. And you have the Allen wrench right here. And what's nice about this is when you're setting up the project, and I'm just going to put a scrap piece of 3/4 inch stock into the jig, and I can slide it down, and then over here I'll just clamp it in position. This collar slid down exactly where it needed to be, and then I can just take the Allen wrench and tighten this, and by tightening it I now have the exact depth. So in one step I've been able to do that. And when you're doing a large production run, being able to do things in one step actually saves you a lot of time. So this drill bit now is set for the 3/4 inch plywood or solid wood that I use for the project. And this nice clamping system works great. You slip it up, and then the wood will be released. Take it out, and you're ready for the next piece. Now then, the other thing that I want to be able to show you as we go around is this screw selection chart that's color coded. So if we're using the 3/4 inch stock, you can look right along, and I'm going to get this up close in the camera, and you can see 3/4 inch material is going to require 1 1/4 inch screw, and that is the yellow screw. And when you clamp that in, this is going to be right up to that point. I'm going to slip this in again, and you can see right up at the top, it actually measures the thickness for you and tells you what screw to use. Because if I take this out, I'll set this down right here. We'll take this one out, and I'm going to take just a piece of 1/2 inch stock and slide it in. Just like that, I can change the size, and what does it do? It over here tells me, well, this is actually 1 3/8 inch thick instead of 1.5 inch, but it tells me I need to use the blue, and down here the blue would be for 1 3/8 inch, okay, 1 1/4 inch, and that would be a 2-inch screw. How clever is that? That is a fantastic idea. Now, so to release that, we'll take that out. That way I can handle this a little bit easier. The next thing is, you have the dust collection right here for 1 1/4 inch attachment. And that's wonderful. That gets all of the sawdust out and away. Then we come around to the back. You have this clamping mechanism, which I showed you a moment ago. And right here is a adjusting where you can adjust the pressure and make it a little bit tighter or make it a little bit less force. This arm right here allows you to pull this in, and it brings the wood in. You bring it right up where it needs to be, and then clamp it down, and you're ready to be able to drill. The other thing, as we come around, let's get this opened up. Now I'm going to go underneath, and you have a storage compartment for your square drive bit right here that you can put into your drill. And then when you're not in use, just slap it right back into place, and you're not ever going to lose it. And this actually moves up and down based on the thickness of the material, so it actually auto adjusts the drill guide block to be exactly positioned where it needs to be depending on the thickness of the material. You can see as I put that 3/4 in, it slides down exactly where it needs to be. If I take this out and put in my 1 3/8 inch piece, it goes down exactly where it would need to be if I were going to drill something this thickness. That is a fantastic feature to be able to have this auto adjust for any thickness. And you can use wood in here from 1/2 inch all the way up to 1.5 inch thickness to be able to do the pocket holes. That is fantastic. The other thing is you have this guide on both sides of the jig. So no matter how you're working, you can actually see this screw guide wherever you are. There's another feature that I really like that's different than any other jig that I've seen. You see I have the two holes close together. Well, one of the things I can do is just loosen this and slide this out, turn it around, and slide it back in. And now you can have the two holes, but they're wider apart. So depending on what you're drilling, if you're doing a wide face frame, let's say you're building a cabinet, and you're doing a wide face frame and you needed these holes further apart, that works great. Or, as you've seen on some of the projects that I've done, where the face frames were quite narrow, I could just simply turn that around, tighten this back into position, and I'm ready to use the two holes close together. Again, that is a remarkable feature that I absolutely love. Now, something else that is important to know, that this deck height is actually 1.5 inches, and that allows for, if you want to put an extension out here, you can use a 2x4 that's 1.5 inches and make your wing stick out. You also have holes that are pre-drilled so that you can clamp this down and be able to use it on a semi-permanent station. So that's the tour around this jig, and I think the most important thing as far as the takeaway that I want to stress is there's a lot of very unique features on this Armor Tool auto jig or pocket hole jig, in the sense that it auto adjusts for the wood thickness, it auto adjusts for the drill bit depth. It has this nice dust collection port that's not an extra add-on, it's actually built in. It's not sold separate. And that just slides right in place. And I like the fact that the screws are all color-coded with the chart here, so you can easily tell what screw that you need for your project. So I can't wait to get started using this. Now, just as a quick reminder, I'm going to be using this jig to make 2 projects in the next couple of days. One is going to be for a desk, and the other one I'm using in the bath remodel for the framing. And that's a little bit unusual, and you don't want to miss out that. So please consider subscribing and hit that little notification bell down below so you won't miss out on these videos. Now, I'm putting a link in the description below so that you can purchase this fantastic jig. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also, check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.